declared by the United Nations. This is the first time that engineers will be having a day recognized as the day for engineering, or the day for engineers all over the world. So it's the World Engineering Day 2020. So we want to look at sustainable development challenges and prospects of engineering, as today, on this day, 4th of March, is the first ever World Engineering Day 2020. Charity.
And so to dissect our topic today, we have engineer Olarewaju Apampa, who is the chairman of NSE Abeokuta branch, and engineer Mrs. Olanike Ogubono, the chairman of Women Engineers in Abeokuta chapter, who will be talking about sustainable development challenges and prospects, as today marks the World Engineering Day all over the world. And so, Engineer Pampa, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Engineer Ogubono, welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Let me start from Engineer Ogubono. I want to be gender sensitive now because you are asking Engineer Pampa because you are also a man. Engineer Ogubono, what does this day signify to you engineers, especially in Nigeria, especially members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers?
Thank you very much, sir. Today being the World Engineering Day, it's a day that will celebrate the engineers. We'll look at where we have been, where we're coming from, and what we can still do to improve engineering in the country and in the nation as a whole. In Abeokuta, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, I am the chairman of the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria, Abeokuta chapter. We are gender sensitive, and that's why the formation of APWEN, in short it is APWEN, Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria. As engineers and female engineers, we are out celebrating ourselves today, and being gender sensitive, we want to tell people out there that engineering is also for girls, and that's what we're doing here today.
Okay, Engineer Pampa, definitely, if you look at the slogan of those states, they say the heartbeat of the nation. When I look at sustainable development of any nation, I think engineers are actually the heartbeat of any development. So, how has it been? What has been the breakthrough? How has it been like? And of course, where do you expect to see you engineer? Are you moving with time and technology?
Thank you very much. As you rightly pointed out, engineering is at the core of the development of any nation. And the purpose of this day actually is to draw attention to that fact, to let people realize, or to let the authorities realize, that there cannot be growth on a sustainable basis if the engineers and engineering activities of any nation are relegated. Now, if you look at capital projects or capital budget of any government, you realize that if you can just retain 90% of that budget within your economy will thrive. As opposed to a situation where, because maybe the engineering is underdeveloped in that area, most of those capital projects result in capital flight out of that economy. And at the end of the day, you realize that you spend so much money, but there's little to show on the ground by way of development. So we want to draw the attention of authorities that it is in our collective interest to nurture the growth of engineering and the capacity of engineers to be able to attract and retain capital within the economy of the state, or the nation as a whole, so that it would accumulate, wealth will accumulate, and growth can be sustainable.
So, Engineer Pampa, Madam, we are still coming back to you. But Engineer Pampa, comparing engineers in Nigeria especially to other climes, like the foreign countries, do you think Nigerian engineers and others are competing favorably?
In terms of man-to-man, in terms of the training that we have acquired, they are competing favorably. But in terms of the environment in which we operate, we realize that we are limited. Because why I say that is that over repeatedly, even as we say things are the way we say they are, this and that, when our people go out, they have been trained here, born and bred here, trained here. When they go out, they compete quite favorably because then they have the same environment as their counterparts over there have. But when you are in the system we are, there are limitations. And those limitations are what people see when they are making comparisons. But that's why we are saying that let us draw the attention of authorities to the enabling environment around us that will make us to compete favorably with anyone, anywhere in the world, in our system, in our country. I know that when we go out, we compete quite favorably with them over there. The records are there. People go out to work or to go for further studies. The records are there, so there's no need to rehash it. But when we come here, the people, when they come here, they're able to create an environment for themselves. They're able to negotiate an environment for themselves that makes them able to perform. Maybe in terms of finance, maybe in terms of the contract that brought them here, they're able to perform. Whereas when we come in to work for our clients, that government or private, either the finance is bad or the contract is bad. And then you find that you really can't, your product won't be as good as what you'll obtain. For example, go to some of these private companies around here. I don't know where you allow me to mention names.
No.
At the interchange, you have a number of companies there. If you go there, hardly would you see any foreign engineer working in those places. And these are world-class brands. They don't produce Nigerian standard. They produce a global standard. Yet it is Nigerian engineers who are there. Not Nigerian engineers, not engineers trained abroad and brought here. No. We've been there a couple of times. We know them, some of them, but most of them are members. They're born and bred, but they create the enabling environment for them. Because the global standard, when they come here with the global standard. So when they come with the global standards, you key into it. For example, look at the telecom companies, for example. Do you see any foreign food there? It's Nigerians. They recruit from Nigeria, and they're everywhere. There are issues here and there, but there are issues everywhere at telephone.
Okay. Engineer Ogunbono, looking at the percentage of women in engineering profession, do you think it is enough to sustain the development we are talking about?
Well, the percentage is small, we understand that. But with time, it's improving. And those of us that are elderly, our mentors, we're encouraging the younger ones to go into it. Although there are challenges, like when we were in school, in a class of about 200, you only see 2 girls. But when you look at the percentage now, they are improving. More girls are getting interested in engineering. And that's one of the first mission of APWEN, to tell girls outside there, even right from the primary school to the secondary school, that engineering is also for girls. Like now, when we are talking of sustainable development, it's something that's over years. It's not something we want to achieve today. Even the United Nations, all those standards are for the next year 2030. So why are we now talking? APWEN is on the move to encourage girls, even from primary school, to read engineering. Like recently, we have a program we call the Invent It, Build It program. That's we went to primary schools all over the country, the 6 geopolitical zones. In fact, 10 of our girls in Abeokuta are beneficiaries of that scholarship award. We trained them from the primary school. They did little experiments, science-based, preparing them for the future. So if at the end of the day now they are successful, they read engineering, that means that we are building the capacity. We are trying to build more girls to read engineering. So over time, I'm sure we will sustain it and it will be good enough for the development.
Dr. Pampa, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, do that body comprises of all engineers? That is one, please note. Then what makes an engineer becomes a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers? That within the Nigerian Society of Engineers, we also have COREN. What is COREN? Then who are the members of COREN?
Thank you very much. NSC, Nigerian Society of Engineers, is the umbrella body for all engineers in Nigeria. It comprises, it operates on two legs. One leg, you have the branches. The branches are in, geopolitical locations. Abeokuta branch, Ibadan branch, Lagos branch, and things like that. Then you have the divisions. Divisions are discipline-based, that is specialty-based. So mechanical engineers, civil engineers, highway engineers, and so on and so forth. Then you have the gender, which is APWEN, which my sister is heading at the state branch, at the state level. So an NSE, in short, is the umbrella body for all engineers practicing in the country. COREN is the regulatory body. It has the NSE is an association. COREN is the regulatory body backed by Act of Parliament to regulate the practice of engineering, to enforce things that need to be enforced. NSE can only enforce things on its members, can only sanction its own members, but COREN can enforce things that have to be with encroachment, with infringement of the law. The law says that if you're not registered for this, you cannot practice it. If you practice it, you're doing quackery. That quackery, it is correct that you bring such a person to book for practicing quackery.
COREN is like a regulatory body.
Yes.
Definitely it is not. So the experience and the experience, who are those in COREN? Okay, maybe I should come like that.
It is engineers who are in COREN. Every engineer is expected to be registered by COREN.
Okay.
You understand? But register with COREN as a mandatory requirement to practice engineering.
Okay.
Now, NSE is your own association that you are, you cannot, you may not belong to COREN, to NSE. It's not compulsory.
It's not compulsory.
It's not.
Okay.
But it is, in law, it's not compulsory. But in practice, it is
compulsory.
So.
Engineer Papa, I believe why Akim today is asking you this is the issue of quackery. We know that quackery in every profession is like a cankerworm eating into the fabric of that profession. How do you go about flushing out quackery or those people who does not want the profession to grow and grow well? Looking at sustainable development, if there are quackery every now and then, we think that your job will not show on the nation. So how do you flush them out?
Well, it's one of the things that we set out to do. We as NSC, when we see any quackery taking place, we have a duty to alert COREN that such and such, or use our offices with COREN to alert them as to the practice of quackery in a particular place. Quackery is criminal offense in law. So COREN will move using the regulatory powers against such, because when you do quackery, you undermine the confidence in the profession. It means that you have done something for which you were not trained, and the result, the repercussion will be there, either now or in the near future, and people will lose confidence in the practice of engineering. So it is something dangerous to the profession, dangerous to the nation. We alert COREN, and where such is found, they can be prosecuted.
Engineer Governor, I want to bring this question. There are some artisans, they call themselves engineers. Let me take the mechanics, for example, and look at mechanical engineering, especially as it has to do with automobiles. You know that some are long on this profession, that they are like experts. In fact, they'll tell you that those who read mechanical engineering might not even have experience as they do. So what kind of, and at times I know that when there is a big job, you also bring in these artisans. Not every job is taken on by qualified engineers. You still need them, though you give instructions. What is the correlation between these experienced artisans that are, some of them are even gone further. They will just bring what they know now, they just bring a computer, they use the computer, and of course they detect the faults, and they do it prompto. So, are they relevant? What's the correlation? And is it true that at times their experience could be better than even those of you who are engineers, especially the young ones? I'm not talking about the gurus like you.
Thank you very much. But sincerely speaking, I want to disagree with you that their experience will be better than those of us that are engineers.
I'm just asking. I'm not saying.
I disagree with that. Their experience is not better than those of us that are engineers. The first way I will answer your question is, who actually is an engineer?
Okay.
An engineer is somebody that has gone to school. An engineer is somebody that has gone to school, whether at the Polytechnic or the university. From the Polytechnic, you will be awarded HND. From the university, you'll be awarded BSc. Even after leaving the school, you still have to register with Current, and that's what Engineer Papa talked about now. You have to register with Current, and before you register with Current, it's a minimum of 5 years working experience. And by the time it's after your registration with Current, you can actually call yourself an engineer. I mean, you can put the designation of engineer in front of your name. Without that, you are not a qualified engineer. You cannot put engineer in front of your name. And in the family of work, on a contract, all these people are required and necessary. We have different categories. We have the engineers, we have the technicians, we have the artisans. We all work together. An engineer is not expected to be losing bolts and nuts. Okay. But you know the principle of losing that bolt and tying that knot back. That's why you are an engineer. So when you see all these artisans all over the places and they are calling themselves engineers, they are not engineers. And that's one of the major work of Current, that regulating the family of engineering. So in terms of experience, as an engineer, you've known the books, you've read the books, and you can do it practically. But just as we say, it's not the physical kind of things that is required by an engineer. That's why we have the artisans that are to do that part of the job. And that's why even as a female engineer, some people say, as a female engineer, you read mechanical engineering, you read civil engineering. We are not there to be carrying the load on site. There are people that are supposed to be doing that. Definitely. And that's why we have artisans. But we are the same family, but different hierarchy.
Okay. Engineer Apampa, that will bring us to this issue of low standard in delivery of development, so to say. When you assign an engineer that this thing, I want it in this capacity. And by the time you come back a year or two after that, you see that that project is not good at all to see. So how do you go about those engineers who think they can't do things according to the standard and for sustainable development, so to say?
Well, I think I want to disagree with you that you give an engineer a job and you come back and find there's not some. Because this studio we are in is a typical living example of a good job by engineers who are Nigerians. So, and this is very good. Now, and there are many like this across the country, having been done by engineers. Now, in terms of people who fall below standard, we always have them in every profession, in every climb. And Current is working quite assiduously to ensure that such people are brought to book. It's just that we have to start well by having well-defined contracts, so that well-defined contracts and well-defined performance standards. That's the first step. If the contract with that engineer, so to speak, is well-defined and the performance standard is clearly spelled out, so that after the period you come back, you can measure what you see with the performance standard is subscribed to, with the contract that is signed. And any such breach can be reported to Current and taken up appropriately. So this is what I would advise, that we start things properly. Well-defined contract, well-spelled out performance standards that you can hold the person to in the course of time.
One of the professions where I think you can catch them young, especially future engineers, is engineering. And as a body, I'm showing this question to Engineer Gumbono, as a body, as a member of Nigeria Society of Engineers, are you not worried that the jet, for example, in those days, who start from secondary school that used to thrive in Nigeria is no more, then you will be surprised about the adventure of these young engineers and technicians. I mean, the kind of research and the kind of projects they come up with, and we were thinking, yes, Nigeria has come to stay as far as producing engineers is concerned, future engineers, even right from secondary school. But now, JET is no more. What is the NSC doing to actually make sure that these young technicians and engineers that are discovered, that used to be a program, a national program, then in Nigeria, is brought back so that engineering will know that we are assured as far as engineering is concerned?
Thank you very much. It is true that JET is no more. I was a beneficiary of that JET program, so I understand what you are saying. But so as it is, even NSC too is working assiduously on this, sir. Because when you we organize quiz competition, we organize projects that these university students come up with, and we try to encourage them and mentor them. And it will not be as seen or as very effective as the JET program you refer to. But by and large, we are not resting on our oars. Even at our point, we are working seriously on that too. We have a program we call the She Engineer. But you know, in our point, we are gender biased. So we do more of us to the female gender. So the girls in the secondary school, we organize boot camp for them, we mentor them, and that's one of the things that will make the development to be gradual. And for the university too, we have what we call the Town and Gown project, which we are doing in Apwen. We invite multinationals, all these companies, construction companies, consulting companies, to come and talk to our girls that are in the university that are about passing out, so that we'll be able to establish them for the future. Some of them even offer them employment. That's some of the things we are doing in Apwen. And we also know we have some people that when they even read engineering in school, because of not getting employed on time, they diversify, or they go away from engineering. We don't want that, and we're really working on that. And I know with time, it's getting improving.
Engineer Pampa, yes, Charity was asking a question the other time. I want to bring you back to that question, and that comes to quality assurance, quality of the jobs engineers carried out. And I know you agree with me that we have a few, even if it's a few, where we have a project, maybe a deformed structure, a fallen structure that is yet to be commissioned. Engineers are involved, or were involved also. I mean, at the level of NSC, when such happens, how concerned are you?
Okay. Before I go into that, let me just add a little bit to what the engineer Governor said. As on JET, as we leave this place, we're going to secondary school in Abeokuta to encourage them. That secondary school won a junior African Science Award for coming up with the gas leak detector. It's part of our way of encouraging such innovation, such ideas at that level of science and junior science level.
Yeah.
So these things happen all the time. Debate, quiz, and things like that. Now, come back to your question, Hakim. How do we ensure that infractions are punished if they are done by engineers? You would, viewers might recall that the synagogue building that collapsed, Current actually set up a panel to try the engineers that were involved on that project. You know, the report of that panel set up by Current is in the public domain. And as I speak, I know, for example, that the certificates of the concerned engineer has been withdrawn. Understand? So these things, once the engineer is involved, Current will not cover him up. Once we are involved, there will be a panel to be set up, and if he is culpable, his certificate will be withdrawn. So there are sanctions. It's just that when people patronize those who are non-engineers, Current could not do much. Okay. Because you find that it doesn't say he's an engineer, so what is your problem? But however, from 2019, with the new Current Act. The new Engineering Act called Current Amendment Act 2019, Current is now empowered to prosecute even non-engineers who are involved in such. Okay. So Current is now empowered to prosecute those who are non-engineers who are involved in engineering projects, particularly when they fail. Before, we could not come into somebody, if a client engages a non-engineer to do work and it's substandard and it fails, Current was not able to come in. But now, with 2019 Act, Current can come in and say, no, you shouldn't have done what you did. You practice quackery, we are taking you to court. So, in the next couple of months, 1 or 2 years, when that act comes properly into practice, you will see changes in the way people take things, engineering activities in this country.
Okay, Engineer Papa, before you rest a little bit, you were talking about going into the formal setting now to catch them young.
Yes.
What about the informal setting? We know that in our streets, in our communities, there are some young people that will just gather themselves and perform and bring up some things or some wires and construct some things. What are you doing about
crude inventions?
Crude inventions.
That
And what are
polished.
you doing? Yes. What are you doing about this? Will you go to streets to bring these children on board and then train them to be engineers? Because you are talking about sustainable development and the future.
Yes, it's something that we want to do. In fact, we try to encourage such when it comes up, because we cannot rule out the advantages of raw talent in these sort of things. So when we say such, we try to encourage them to see if they can go to school, if there are people that we can help to go to school, have some minimum educational qualification. Because you see, when you have such things, if you don't go to school, you can't go beyond that. You can't scale up. You see people, they do things like look at aeroplane and it flies. But he cannot make it into an aeroplane if he doesn't go to school and learn the principle of aerodynamics. If he makes it, you will not enter that plane. I'm very sure. So he has that talent, but it needs to be honed. It needs to be scaled up. It's not strange. It's not a strange thing at all. It's happened all the time over the ages. Let me tell you, the aeroplane, the invention of the aeroplane is credited to the Wright brothers in the US. These are bicycle repairers. Bicycle repairers. How did they do it? Because the bicycle repairers, they got the bicycle, attached wings to themselves, to their own shoulders, and pedaled at high speed. They flew. But he couldn't possibly have made aeroplane by their knowledge as bicycle repairers. Other people now came in with science, with mathematics, with the knowledge of aerodynamics to make things, to improve on it, scale up, test it, evaluate it, test again, and then you have what you have as aeroplane. These things go together.
Okay, go ahead.
Engineer Ogumano, I want to go back to the issue of girl child and engineering. Have you ever come across any parent who tell you, I don't want my girl child to go into this profession, and how have you talked them over and win them to your side?
Yes, we've had different experiences along that area. Because, when you see a woman, the old belief or taboo that the place of a woman is in the kitchen. And as an engineer, you'll be carrying load. You'll be doing things with your physical strength. Those are usually some challenges that make people to say, as a girl, you want to go into engineering, please don't go. But we try to encourage them, we try to mentor them, we try to explain to them what is actually being an engineer comprises of. And to the glory of God, we have some that have showed interest through our mentorship program. It's not easy because of the old challenges and old adages outside there. But by the time we show them people, we show them their mentors, Good enough today in Ogun State, we have a deputy governor who is an engineer. So, I mean, she's a role model to all of us in Ogun State. And by the time we mention names of people that have made it, the first female agric engineer is from Abeokuta, engineer Mrs. Idiat Amusu. By the time we show them people like that, we brought engineer Amusu one time to Abeokuta to show our girls. And people were encouraged that if this old grandma could be an engineer and she made it, well, then what are we to doing that we cannot make it? That's one of the programs we are doing to encourage our girls to make it in engineering.
Okay, Engineer Pampa, I know that the Nigerian Society of Engineers comprises so many bodies also. I know that there is we have water engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. Throw more light on this.
The ones we mentioned are divisions.
Okay.
You have so many of them, and divisions are designed to focus on technical capabilities, professional improvement, training workshops, and things like that, so that people become better in the discipline that they subscribe to. So you have Nigerian Institute of Water Engineers, you have Nigerian Institute of Civil Engineers, Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers, you have electrical and electronics engineers, you have power engineers, you have, I think about 30 to 40 of them, you know, and like that. You have aeronautics, you have polymer, you have quite a lot.
How often do you organize refresher courses for engineers? Because I know that an engineer who actually graduated, for example, in 1978, might not be able to stand the test of time, looking at the gravitating nature of the society, the computerization that has come in, all this. Now, how often do NCE encourage its members to brush up, to meet the sustainable development that we're talking about, so that it will take care of the challenges and will look at the prospects?
Thank you very much. As rightly pointed out, engineering is a dynamic profession. Things are always changing, and people have to move with times. As a branch, Abeokuta branch, this year alone we've had 2 workshops on trying to get people to be abreast of latest in their areas. You know, sometimes, you know, in 20 years ago, before electronic processing of things became pervasive, we used to draw with hand. And hand calculations. So now, nobody draws with hand again for any formal presentation. It's AutoCAD, and there are many other programs that run on that platform. So continuously you train people. New software come up that are better than the previous one. You come up. So as a matter of policy, Abeokuta branch, we plan that we hold 1 workshop every month, covering one discipline or the other. This is the month of March. In January, February, we held 2 workshops. In March, towards the end of March, we are planning another workshop. So we have a plan of having workshops, and one of the reasons, as we leave this place now, we are going on advocacy to some ministries in Abeokuta State, in Kemoson, to try and see the heads of those ministries, trying to sensitize them about the need to send the engineers in their ministries for this continuous training. It's called Mandatory Continuing Professional Education, MCPE. It's a standard is a standard requirement of NSC that engineers must undergo mandatory continuing professional education. Okay. It's just to get the employers to subscribe to it and willingly send their employees to this training workshop.
Okay, viewers, on this day, the 4th of March, year 2020, as we are actually joining the rest of the world to celebrate the World Engineering Day, the first of its kind as declared by the United Nations. So we have two guests in the house. We are looking at the World Engineering Day 2020, Sustainable Development Challenges and Prospects. So you can also be part of the program as you see the number there on your screen. Let me come back to Engineer Pampa before you go back to Engineer Ogubona. Engineer Pampa, do we have regional bodies for engineers? Like this is NSC. Do we have something on the continent of Africa? Do we have something at the world level? That is one. How much of lobbying and conviction came in before the United Nations actually came up that, okay, engineers around the world deserved a day for us to know that this is World Engineering Day?
Thank you very much. We have the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. World Federation of Engineering Organizations. And this body is a body that encompasses all engineering institutions across the world. It may interest you to know that a Nigerian, former president of NSC, Engineer Mustafa Balarabe Shehu, is the vice president of this body. That body has been quite instrumental to the declaration of this day as World Engineering Day, okay, by the United Nations. So that's at the world level. Then at the African level, we have the African Federation of Engineering Organizations, of which a Nigerian had been also president, Engineer Ifeakintunde. And we have the West African Federation of Engineering Organizations, in which also a Nigerian, past president of NSC, Engineer Otis Anyeji, is the president. So we have them Nigeria is quite represented at each of those regional bodies and the World Engineering Body.
Okay, so Engineer Ogubona, celebrating this year from this day forward now, what is the benefit there for?
I think we have let's get this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Olawale from Tongo.
You're welcome to the program. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to commend the effort of those engineers in present day.
All right.
So, but I want to disagree with them on one thing.
Go ahead.
The condemnation of the effort of non-engineering on projects. Because it's only in Nigeria I saw non-working engineering on site. I've worked with construction companies before.
Olawale, hello? Oh, too bad we lost him. I was going to ask him if he is an engineer, if he's an engineer, but I think you got his drift.
Not quite.
Yes. Did you get it?
Yes.
Yeah,
We said we condemned non-engineers on site. We did not condemn them. We said there is hierarchy. We are all family of the engineering group. Each person knows what he's supposed to do on site. An engineer is different from a technician. A technician is different from an artisan. But we are all engineering family. So an artisan cannot come up and call himself an engineer. We are not condemning an artisan. An artisan has his own job on the site.
So Engineer Ogubona was asking that, what is the benefit derivable from this world celebration of Engineering Day? What do you think is the benefit for engineers?
For the engineers, it's more or less an enlightenment program for we engineers and to those that are our employees. I mean, just as we have been saying that capacity building, with this Engineering Day now, our employers, we know that they are supposed to train us better to improve the capacity, to employ more engineers, to be able to make the development more sustainable.
Engineer Papa.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I should just add to what you want to say, that I look at it, I may be wrong, I'll take correction, and I want to say, was the NSC prepared, were they shocked that the United Nations have declared today as the World Engineering Day? Because I think I have not seen too much of gravity when it comes to programs from NSC, from the national to the state level, to mark this day? Or is it just because this is the first edition, we should be rest assured that from next year, it will be a well-packaged, maybe week-long program at the national and state levels?
Thank you very much. You know, we have our engineering week coming up next week.
Okay.
And we had thought of shifting it forward.
Hello.
To start
Okay, you come back to that question. Hello. Engineer Abbas, calling from Abeokuta, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead,
Am
Engineer
I on to the
Abbas.
program?
Yes, you are on. Go ahead.
Am I on to the program?
Go ahead. We can hear you. You are on.
I can't hear. Am I on to the program?
You are on to the program. Go ahead with your point.
I want to congratulate Nigerians of Engineers and engineering body, World Federation of Engineers on this special day of Engineering Day. I want to congratulate our chairman, Engineer Apampa, FNSC, and I want to wish all engineering bodies and Nigerians of Engineers and engineers throughout the whole world an exciting day and a brighter future that will project engineering and make our Nigerian engineers shine. I want to wish all of us a very good day. I want to wish us a better future for engineering.
Okay, that was
felicitation
message
I'm not sure
from a
whether
fellow
I'm on or
engineer.
not, but I'm congratulating Nigerians of engineers and all engineers in the world.
Thank you very much.
you.
It is allowed on a day like this. It is the first edition of the World Engineering Day. You were making...
yes, I was saying that we have our engineering week coming up next week. And we thought of bringing the week forward so that the first day will coincide with this day. When it ends, we chose to keep our dates.
Hello, good morning.
You still come up and wrap up with that. We have another call. Let's allow them to call. Hello? Hello? Go ahead, sir.
So we still have our quiz competition coming up. We still have industrial visits coming up. Even like I said today, we are visiting 2 commissioners in the state as part of the advocacy for this day. We're having our annual dinner awards night next week. It's just that the publicity has not been merged with the publicity of this World Engineering Day. Because as you pointed out, being the first one, there was no elaborate preparation to have it more than we're doing it. If you follow the news, you realize that yesterday there was an appearance on television, one of the television stations, by the president of NSC and 2...
Engineer Mukulu.
Well, he's former now.
Okay, it's former now. Okay, all right.
The engineer Wagana Mohammed.
Okay.
And 2 of his predecessors featured on a live TV program yesterday as part of this day. Today they're also featuring, so across the country, branches are featuring on this kind of programs and doing visitations and things like that. But being the first one, the one that we hold next year can only be more elaborate and be better publicized than we're having.
Okay, as we go, what will be your last message? Especially looking at the topic, that is both of you. World Engineering Day 2020, Sustainable Development Challenges and Prospects. Engineer Ogubono first. What will be your part in short as we go?
As we go, I would like to leave with the engineers that wherever we find ourselves, we should not compromise standard. We should be up and doing. We should, no matter what the challenges that is on our way, we should be what we have been trained to do. And in the nearest future, this development will be well sustained.
Engineer Pampa?
Thank you very much. What I have to say is a message to the authorities and the society. The progress of engineering is the progress of society. The capacity building for engineers is capacity building for the economy of any country. So it is in our collective interest to ensure that engineers are able to do more and perform better than we are seeing at the moment. That is what will upscale our performance as a country as a whole. And to say that there is no conflict whatsoever in the engineering family. As we have come today, They have come, we are representatives of NATE, Nigerian Association of Technologists in Engineering. It's just because the studio is not big enough, they could also join us here. They're outside and we'll be going out together on the visits we are talking about.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, the progress of engineering is the progress of society. It's in our collective interest to ensure that engineers make progress in life. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on the program. We hope to call you next time. Well, maybe next year for your anniversary, second one.
Yes.
That. So, viewers, that is it on the segment of discussion segment with engineers on board. We discussed World Engineering Day 2020 Sustainable Development Challenges and Prospects. Right now, after this little break, we'll be having another guest in the studio. We'll be discussing another topical issue. See you at the other side.
The Ogun State government has observed with concern various acts of misconduct by some individuals and groups which contravene extant laws of the state.
These acts include sale and use of alcohol and illicit drugs in motor parks, indiscriminate dumping of refuse, display of goods and placement of containers on drainages and along highways, indiscriminate